Hey guys, Ron here, and sometimes a Pokemon character's ace Pokemon becomes a huge part of their lore and characterization. Leon's Charizard represents his passion and popularity, Gladion's Silvally shows his growth and true disposition, Marnie's Morpeko showcases the contrast between her tough look and cute personality, and Arven's Mabosstiff is his entire reason for living. It's also cool when a character's ace matches their aesthetic as a trainer, like Diantha's Mega Gardevoir or Lucy's Seviper. Now I want to make more of those, Pokemon that are heavily inspired by their trainers. So in this video, I'm going to take famous Pokemon trainers who don't have a definitive ace, or ones with an ace who doesn't really relate to their design or personality thematically, and create a new Pokemon that suits them in every way. Some of these will look very similar to their trainers, as if the trainers modeled their look after these Fakemon, while others will simply have their essence. If you want to see more of this, please leave a like and subscribe for a potential part 2, and consider becoming a member on YouTube or Patreon so that you can support these experimental videos. And check out all my other Fakemon videos if you haven't. Let's begin with a fan favorite from this current generation. Larry is one of the most popular characters from the last few years, with a personality and look that could easily translate into a normal and flying type. That's obviously why they gave him a Staraptor, and perhaps you could consider Flamigo his ace too. But neither Pokemon have much ties to this tie-wearing trainer. But obviously we can't design something too simple or else it would be kind of boring. So let's try to make a bird that has more of a slightly interesting origin than Larry does. Since the dude's primary color scheme is black, I'm thinking of a crow. But in the West, those are generally associated with death. Thankfully in Japan, the myth of the Yatagarasu exists. This three-legged crow is the divine messenger of, in some legends, Amaterasu, the sun goddess. Not only is this crow seen as a symbol of guidance, like a gym leader, but it serves a powerful woman, like how Larry is Gita's employee. I'm gonna make an overworked messenger crow that has a long, necktie-like plumage that will make its silhouette look like this Pokemon has 3 legs, like Yatagarasu. So we're drawing a crow, giving it Larry's eyes, which are already fairly stylized and unlike any human character eyes in the franchise. I mean, they're more appropriate on a Pokemon's face, actually. Even his tufts of hair make total sense on a bird Pokemon. Perhaps that was kind of the point. They look like feathers. The long tie will look like a third leg from afar, and the feathers on its neck look like a collar, refining it a bit before adding Larry's exact colors, which very much fit a corvid like a crow. I thought there was even more room for the wing-like patterns on Larry's suit as well. Check out Labor Raven, the hard-working Pokemon, a normal flying type with the abilities Early Bird, Hustle, and Guts. Despite their tired look, Labor Raven are extremely loyal and hardworking. They will immediately perform any task asked of them at surprising speeds. Labor Raven are incredibly wise, able to calculate the most efficient way to carry out a task. The plumage that hangs from their neck and head allow them to accurately sense the direction they are heading in. Labor Raven do not perceive a battle as work, and fight for their love of competition. I thought a desaturated shiny makes a lot of sense with its disposition. Honestly, this one has a great balance between looking like Larry, but believably being its own Pokemon. Hopefully you think I found a good way to translate Larry's attributes into a Pokemon that would believably have those design traits. Now let's move up a rank and create an ace for one of the most popular Pokemon characters ever, Cynthia. Now you may be thinking, Garchomp is heavily associated with this champion, and its ferocious design contrasts perfectly with Cynthia's elegant beauty, because deep down she is a ferocious trainer. I agree, but the concept of this video is to make a Pokemon that embodies their trainers, and Garchomp can still be on Cynthia's team. But what if there's another Pokemon that represents Cynthia in spirit and design? Now Cyrus's name is often associated with the sun in most languages, and Cynthia represents the moon if we take into account that her name is a nickname of many Greek goddesses associated with the moon, like Selene or Artemis, the goddess of the hunt, who over time slowly became associated with the moon. Artemis is commonly represented by a golden deer, so why not create a steel stag with golden horns that mimic Cynthia's golden hair? A regal Pokemon that fits Cynthia both in power and design. Making a stag with long curly antlers that look like Cynthia's hair, but they're completely metallic. It'll be tough to steer away from making it look like any other deer Pokemon, but that's almost impossible given the subject. The faux fur on Cynthia's clothes will be real fur on this guy, but they are sharp and metallic, giving it extra defense, and the hooves perfectly mimic her high heels. Even the tail is straight up modeled after Cynthia's hair, but again, it's actually very hard metal. I felt like it wouldn't be overkill to add a nod to Cynthia's jacket and even patterns on the back that mimic the raindrop-like ornaments she has, and Cynthia's colors make for a unique palette for a deer. Very bold. Behold, Stagold, the Radiant Pokemon, a normal steel type with the abilities Sturdy, pressure, and full metal body. Only one Staggold can be found in any given territory. They lead the other forest Pokemon with dignity. They will vouch for the Pokemon they protect and will commune with humans to make sure that they are pure and kind enough to enter their domain. During the day, their body absorbs light, allowing its antlers to sparkle at night and illuminate the dark for the inhabitants of the forest. Every aspect of its body is made of metal. Even its mane and tail are extremely resilient and offer protection in battle. When two Staggold meet at the border of each other's territory, they will fight for the honor of those they protect. In battle, Staggold utilizes every part of their body as both defense and offense. Staggold Shiny is basically what they look like at night when they're radiating light. We can all agree black and gold Pokemon are some of the best looking ones. I think translating Cynthia's authority into a Pokemon that is basically as strong as Togekiss and Arcanine and is the champion of their domain seems appropriate. But if one champion were to desperately need a more interesting ace, that would be Blue. Sure, it's totally cool that his ace is the starter whose type is superior to yours, but that means there isn't one starter that is tied to him in this game. You'd think it's Blastoise to contrast with Red's Charizard, but in the games, that is far from the case. It's not always his consistently strongest Pokemon. Sometimes Pidgeot is considered his ace, but not only is that a relatively weak ace for a champion, it also doesn't fit, Blue thematically. So why not make another Pokemon that matches this guy's cocky personality? Something proud and cocky sounds like a rooster. Naturally, when you think of the color blue, you think of water, but that does not match the temperament of this character. In fact, fire is the element I'd most associated with his personality. A passionate and driven person that'll burn you. So why not a blue-flamed rooster that is also dark type? But not because he's evil, but rather because he represents the trope of a good-hearted outlaw. Someone that is on the run, but would stoop down to the level of their antagonist in order to defeat them. But will still do the right thing, at the end of the day. Basically a dark type akin to Incineroar, who uses brutal tactics to show off, but isn't necessarily a bad guy. Also, this way I'm not making another fire-fighting chicken. I think the character Blue fighting fire with fire against Red's Charizard would be thematically neat. It's kind of a more even playing field to make him feel like he is truly beating Red without, having to utilize a type advantage. So I'm making a rooster with the attitude of a rebel, but I thought it was beginning to look a bit too humanoid, so I gave it the poncho of an outlaw in the Wild West. But obviously, it's made of feathers. I even gave it a bandit mask made of fire. The poncho feathers are looking like fire and cinders, and the chicken comb-like head feathers that it has on its head will give it the silhouette of a hat. It's got big wing hands and the patterns on its chest that glow with fire. The feathers on its legs look like tattered pants, and its talons are, as you'd expect. The colors are where it gets interesting. Roosters can easily have their, dark green feathers, but I'm gonna go ahead and make them more turquoise. This color between green and blue is perfect for a character who's called Green in Japan and Blue in the West. Say hi to Roosterado, the retaliatory Pokemon from Rooster and Desperado, a fire dark type with the abilities Blaze and Reckless. Roosterado are constantly hunted by predatory Pokemon who find them to be extremely delicious. Roosterado fights off foes by engulfing their entire body in flames, which expel from the holes on their chest. They send fire flying as they spin around to fight multiple opponents at once. Despite their devastating moves, they always find a way to minimally damage their surroundings. While Roosterado do not seek out battle, they welcome it from those who provoke them and will violently fight back. They will, however, seek revenge against those who have defeated them. An inverted shiny is always neat. Not gonna lie, I'm a big Blaziken fan, yet I think I may love Roosterado a bit more. I guess I just absolutely love the color scheme and personality. I love the use of turquoise to mimic both blue and green coloring, so that it fits both the English name Blue and the Japanese name Green. Now, I have no way to segue from Blue to Olivia. There was no logic in having them both in this video. I just want more Olivia representation. She has a Lycanroc, but what does that have to do with, anything? I mean, I associate Lycanroc with Kukui more than I do, Olivia. Although that is his midday form, and her Lycanroc is midnight form. So why not a Pokemon that ties more with her design and personality? Despite her power and status, she's just a chill gal who sells jewelry, collects, toys, and reads romance novels. She looks fierce and her Pokemon are most definitely hard, but she's a softie on the inside. So why not make a Pokemon with a hard rock shell, but is also super squishy, but is goofy and cute? A Mon she would constantly hug after a battle. I think a giant rock snail would be a perfect contrast to her beauty, and snails can be super pretty. I mean, the Hawaiian Kahului tree snail is a perfect inspiration for such an Alolan Pokemon. Making a giant snail with a huge shell, I wanted to make it cute and happy, so I gave it a cartoony smile and translated the lower tentacles of a snail into what looks like the beaded dreads of a hippie. These rocks on its tentacles, as well as the straps around it, are straight up from Olivia. Even giving it segments on its bottom half that look like the loose clothes of a hippie gives it the vibe of someone who would sell crystals, just like Olivia does. And then we gotta add the gems that adorn its shell. Finding a way to make the gems look natural but still have order was fun. And once again, just taking the color straight from the human source. This is Barrellusk, the gem Pokemon from Beryl, a type of gem, and Mollusk, a rock type with the abilities Shell Armor, Clear Body, and Gooey. These extremely relaxed and easygoing Pokemon live in deep caves. They produce a mucus that hardens in the pressure of their environment and becomes fabulous gems. These gems can easily pop off and regrow. Barrellusk are completely oblivious to the value of their gems, but will only let individuals who are as calm and composed as they are to acquire their gems. Those with turbulent dispositions will be met with hostility from Barrellusk, who will proceed to launch pebbles at their newfound enemies. Their shiny is a bit more akin to something that would live in the dark. Barrellusk is one of the kinds of Pokemon I think are extremely appealing because they're both cute, cool, and terrifying. Again, in real life it's pretty tough to bond with a snail, despite my best efforts, so the ability to hug a giant one is something I'm sure Olivia would appreciate. And finally, let's actually do a protagonist for once. Rosa is the player character that would most easily translate into a Pokemon. I mean, that hair screams fairy type with ribbons that it can control. Honestly, this will be the mon that looks closest to their character, since we'll make a humanoid Pokemon like Gallade or Gothitelle. I know Rosa has become tied with Superior in various media, and honestly it fits. But while I could bring up the same case as I did for Blue, where any starter is technically her ace, but I honestly just want to make a Pokemon with the aesthetic of Rosa. Her color scheme is so pretty, and her personality is very appealing. Not gonna lie, this is just Rosa, but without the patterns of her clothes and all the other attributes that make it look like a human, like ears and nose. Her pants translate into frills that move as she dances, and the whole point is that her hair is now long ribbons that she can extend. This is very much a female-exclusive mon, refining it to streamline all the aspects and throwing in those pastel colors Rosa has. Very much screams fairy type. The black contrasts with the light colors very well. Say hi to Tasselass, the ribbon Pokemon, a fighting fairy type with the abilities Tangled Hair, Cute Charm, and Dancer. Tasselass masterfully control their ribbon-like hair. They can extend their hair to great lengths, allowing them to grab anything surrounding them. They twirl around branches and merrily frolic through fields. In battle, however, they will immediately sport a serious scowl and will acrobatically maneuver their way to victory. They will always find an opportunity to tangle their opponents in their hair and slam them against the ground repeatedly. Only when they win will their smile return. If I were to do this again, I would find a way to make it look a little less like Rosa, because it's a bit on the nose in hindsight, but I hope it convinced you that Rosa's aesthetic is perfect for a Pokemon. And if you think the idea of this video is perfect, leave a like and subscribe for a part 2. Let me know which other characters deserve a more interesting ace Pokemon, and how I should go about creating more. Check the description for the music I use, and my Patreon where you can get cool rewards like seeing my videos days early, and my members Discord, which you can also get by clicking the join button and becoming a YouTube member. Make sure to follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky for sneak peeks of my Fakemon, and I'll see you guys very soon.